Okay, now the handout I gave you on the back side of that handout is this diagram. And it shows the wires and the strings. So forget the word wires. I'm having trouble getting away from that. We don't use wire anymore. They're all strings. And this shows using 5. The crepe paper goes from the top of the flats across the strings to the top of the other flat. And what we do is we staple the crepe paper to the top of the flat. Now, it's a piece of crepe paper. If you just staple it, what's it going to do? It's going to tear. So what we do is we just fold it up 2 or 3 times, about a 2-inch fold, and staple the fold against the flat. And that's why this thing is deeper here. Fold over 2 or 3 times and staple it to the flat. So again, this is the wall side, and this is the flat against the wall, and this is the narrow dimension of the room. The flats sit on the floor. Now, we're going to talk about getting by the light bar. So here are the supports for the light bar. You put the first row of crepe paper right against it. The second row of crepe paper, at that point, you cut 2 slots, 6 inches long, and just lay the crepe paper in here, lapping it 6 inches. First row right against it, second row slot. So Dan, if you can help me a minute. So I'm going to hold the 2 light bar stanchions. We'll do it this way. So the first piece you put against it just like that. And the second piece you just lay over it. Does that make sense?
Just slits in there.
Yeah, and I cut the V's to get them around the pencil. But all you need to do is just cut a slit and the crepe paper will go around it. Now, it can be done other ways. Yes. Here's actual photos I took in a room that was done. They've gone home. They had done it with cutting and masking tape and all the rest of the thing, and it came down. And what happens is this came down before they even opened. But the high humidity in the room, tape and all that kind of stuff will come loose. So by doing it this way, the way I showed you, you can avoid these kind of things. Something like this happens, is what of it? Nothing, you know, you just fix it and go on. We're just trying to show you an easier way to do it. Now, we want to talk about not covering the strobes. So here are three pictures. And this one has got many things wrong with it. 1, it doesn't look very good. And 2, the paper is taped to the walls. We never tape to painted surfaces, because it ends up eventually the school will have to repaint, and that's costly. Imagine if this was done every year, the adhesive sticking up there, da-da-da-da-da, tape will, the crepe paper come down, tape will still be up there, somebody's going to have to go get it, so forth and so on. Incidentally, there's an exit sign above the door. So what we do is use a board, and we will provide in your room, there will be a 6 or 8 foot long 1x2, and it will be painted white. You just put the 1x2 through some ceiling clips, put it through this way, and you hook the ceiling clips up like I showed you, the way you bend them into the wall. Then, so this, the picture unfortunately doesn't show, this is actually hanging down from the T-bar. There it is here. The contrast is not very good, but you can see the 1x2 here. And then when you come by with your ceiling, you just staple the ceiling to that piece of wood. In your blue room box will be these photos, and they'll have drawings on them that shows how to do your crepe paper. You just come, your ceiling paper, you just come from the top of the flats, bring it up, staple here, bring it down, and keep going on your flats. It'll go very, very easily. Accomplishes 2 things: the strobe light is visible, and the vent is kept clear. Okay, so putting the room together. If you got somebody tall, that is a godsend. Because we had people in our room, we had one guy who could go along and just reach up and do it. If you got somebody who's a ceiling installer, he's great. We had a ceiling installer in this very room, and he did it with his stilts on. And then he went over and did other people's rooms, but unfortunately he doesn't do it anymore. But anyhow, you can see there's a number of people doing it, and you can see the number of ladders. This was kind of a neat setup if you have one of these, because you can walk along it. But the thing about the ladders is then you can hand the rolls on to the next individual. These people are standing on the stage, and this is Rick Hudo from an old timer, and he could reach up there and do it. And here you can see the people, they're unrolling it, going across, and it's sagging like heck because they haven't stapled it and pulled it tight yet. And they had 2 crews here. My recommendation is doing it with 2 crews. You start in the center and you can work in each direction. Can you do it with 2 people? Yes, you can. If you got 4, it takes half as long. You know, if you got 6, it takes even less time. So anyhow, that's one reason I say you can't have too many ladders. Thing to do is to recommend people bring ladders with them. When you bring ladders, make sure that the ladder has your name on it, and also put a piece of masking tape with the room number on it. Because what will happen during the day, students are decorating the hallways, and the teachers have a key that opens every room door. The kids need ladders. They will open a room door, they will borrow your ladder. The problem is when they're done, they don't know where to put it back. So if you got 206 on, it's likely going to be back in your room number, of course. The other thing is that if it doesn't go back in your room and one of us finds it, we'll bring it to you. But if we don't know your room, so if it says Joe Smith, we don't know where Joe Smith is. And so they're just going to sit there till he finds it. Now the finished ceilings will develop some problems, probably. Now here's shows the folds that we stapled to the top of the flats. What this room was doing is he cut strips of 2-inch cardboard and rolled it up on the cardboard, and it looked very nice. Quite frankly, I don't think it's worth the effort to do it. He just rolled it up a few times and the same thing will happen. Here's a place where they cut a hole for some reason, and I don't remember why. So how do you fix something like that? These are what we call fish mouths, and that's where the crepe paper sags, and it will come apart. Lapping at 6 inches, pardon me, lapping at 6 inches, we find that the fish mouths do not develop like the problems we used to have. We didn't used to lap 6 inches, but now we do. But anyhow, let's say you develop a fish mouth. Very easy to fix with a straight pin. And that may happen between Friday night and Saturday night due to the room humidity. And sometimes when the door closes or whatever, the ceiling bounces a little bit because of the change in the air pressures. So it's well to have a few straight pins. Straight seams is not provided. Or you can also do it with paper clips. You can also do it with glue guns, and we do have a few glue guns. Now, you're running the crepe paper, the ceiling paper, at the narrow end of the room, and the flats only come up 8 feet. So, you have the room with the ceiling, the real ceiling, not the crepe paper ceiling, the real ceiling, and the flat comes up to like here. And this, of course, is the bottom. So now you got a gap up here. And do you have to cover it? I guess not. But what happens when I come in the door and I look at the entertainers, what am I seeing? A gap. So the way we do the gaps, we just hang a sheet of ceiling paper vertically. That incidentally is why that hole is there. This is where it dropped down, and they use a piece of ceiling paper and just rolled it down, and the string supporting the ceiling was going through here, so they had to cut a hole to get the string through it.
So I thought the crepe paper was stapled onto the top of the flat.
It will, but see what happens when the crepe paper is running this way, and now you get to the end.
Oh, I I got you. There's
You got
that
the
hole
gap.
right there, okay,
Now,
got you.
people have taken crepe paper and folded it down. With the ceiling bracket in the way, that's difficult. But if you did it carefully, you could cut the crepe paper, push it behind the bracket, and just put a straight pin or a paper clip in it. For the string, it's no problem because you can just put a ceiling clip and just poke it through for the string,
So
poke it
if
through the
you
crepe.
do a vertical one, how do you clip it to the ceiling or whatever like that, or how do you?
Well, that's what I'm saying, is one way to do it is just take your ceiling crepe paper and bend it down. Okay, here's a picture of people who've done this. Okay, what they did, you don't see the contrast here, but the joint is right here. This is ceiling crepe paper, and they just bent it down. And so what they did is cut it. But they didn't make any effort to cover it up. Now, you cover up very easily just by taking another piece of crepe paper and putting it over there and attaching it somehow with straight pins or whatever. If the string is just on a, is just up there with a ceiling clip, you can drop it down like this and just poke the ceiling clip through and hook it up there. The ceiling clip will poke right through there. Now, there's another way of doing it. And this would be a question of, you know, you pay your money and make your choice. But I'm going to look at it from the side then. Here's the wall and here's the ceiling. The wall in the school and the ceiling in the school. And here comes the top of the flats. One thing you can do is take a piece of ceiling crepe paper and fold it to cover this distance, and then just hook it to the ceiling tile right at the end there. Hook it about 3 times. There's a very easy way to do it, and this is how we used to do it, is with a drapery hook. And with the drapery hook, all you have to do is put it on there like that and take the crepe paper and just poke it over it, and the crepe paper is up there. And 3 of them would hold it, 1 on each end and 1 in the middle. My personal belief is that's the easiest way to do it. Nobody does. Now, when it's all over, the decoration is all over, it's important that supplies get returned to the sign room. This is stuff that I personally collected. I went through every room on Saturday of Street Scenes Week in 2004, and this is stuff that I took out of the rooms. In the cleanup process, Saturday night when we tear down, that would all be thrown away. I mean, it goes in the trash. So it's my belief, again, some kid would have sold an ad for nothing. He would have paid for this stuff we're throwing away. So we ask that it get collected and returned to the sign room when you're done with your room, or certainly before Saturday.